everyone, and welcome to another episode of Respecting the Beer. My name is Gary Arndt. With me are the usual suspects, the Troubadour of McFleshman's Brewery, the man who takes the guitar off the wall and has taught the brewer a few chords, Mr. Joel Hermansen.
Thank you, yes.
Was that on the fly? You came up with that intro?
That's the best intro I've had. Well, no.
Yeah.
The Sage of Suds was probably the best
That
one.
was pretty good.
Yeah. But thank you for that, Gary. Glad to be here.
Oh, glad you're here, Joel.
Thank you.
Very glad. With us again, as usual, are the doctors of brewing. The man who studied Jupiter but came down to Earth to make intoxicants for all the people, Mr. Bobby Fleshman.
Happy to be here. And then Allison.
And his quantum wife, Alison McCoy.
I'm both married and not married to you at the same time.
Oh, that'd be a
Okay, we're going to put that on Patreon.
Schrodinger's wedding. It's not until you actually check your finger that you know that you're actually married.
Well, there's we have the bit, we talk business stuff and then we're also married. There's like multiple relationships.
So anyways, we've talked about this and we've mentioned many times that you will bring up things about various beers, and it could be anything from how it was made to the naming of it that we're always surprised by. And we're like, you should tell people this. So Joel and I have came up with the idea that we are going to create a book that covers all the various beers that you brew at McFleshman's and the stories behind them. This will be a process, and we've talked about a lot of beers already on this episode. So this is going to be kind of a discovery process, this episode. It'll entertain people listening, but also one of the end goals is to create an entry in this book. And we're going to try to do this for a lot of different beers, whether it's we do it as an episode or whether we do it offline, so that there's a reference that we have if you come into McFleshman's to learn the story of the beers. And what we want to do for this episode is talk about your multi-time award-winning beer, Tall Mast. And so why don't we get started by what it is and why you decided to brew it?
So it's interesting, and it's fitting that we're talking about it being one of the first entries in the book, because it was one of the first entries in our lineup from the beginning. It was one of the first four.
Yeah.
So we did our Helles Lager, we did our Irish Stout, we did an English Mild, which is like a
Mild
brown
Angel.
ale, but 3%. And then we did Tall Mast. And then we only had so much equipment and blah, blah, to get ready, so that we knew that needed to be sort of the four we led with. And three out of those four have gone on to be our top sellers. The Mild went away, but the other three are still there.
Why did it go away?
Oh,
People at first, it was a very dark beer. But the Mild is a very, very light in body and alcohol. And so people are very confused by it.
2017 and 18, that was not a good seller.
Yeah.
People that want 3% think light, and people that are looking for dark or looking for alcohol, it didn't work in that market.
We tried it again. Bobby changed the recipe slightly, and then we got it to be a little bit lighter. But in terms of the cask conditioning, it's just like lower on the sales, and so it's what do they say? You have to kill your darling sometimes. In terms
we
of
put
business.
that one in the incubator.
She'll come back at some
I
point.
think
It'd be interesting to bring back as
the market's
Yeah.
different.
limited basis.
Yeah, it's
Especially
very
now that we have a
different.
new tank that we can add more flavors.
Yeah,
And Bobby,
So-
you said it was one of your top sellers. For my notes, could you just tell me what the top seller is again? I'm just
Okay, well,
taking
yeah,
notes.
well, if you got to fast forward a little bit, but currently, 547 is our number one seller in
thank
the
you.
tap room.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
But over the history of the tap room sales, Pirates Cove and 547 have been our top sellers. But we have this niche of people that like to drink English cask ale. By the way, this is National Cask Ale Week right now.
International Cask Week.
We're in the middle of that.
Celebrate Cask Week. Yay.
And there's a contingent out there based in the UK, big surprise, that are trying to keep this alive. And so of those people, 547 is our top seller. And they make up about
You mean Tall Mast is our top seller.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now Joel's in my head. Yeah, Tall.
Living rent free.
So Tall Mast is our top seller amongst those on cask. And
Even more than MSB.
and we get a lot of flack. Maybe not quite as much as we do with 547, but we get a lot of flack when it's not on tap. I've been threatened in the alley, tangential to this, that someone might stab me if A, I don't have it on tap, and B, if I keep fucking with it. So there's a very how do you say it, emotionally attached group for this beer. Why did we choose to lead with it though? I think it's because of a trip we took, and we've mentioned it a dozen times in this podcast, but we took a trip to London and then Tadcaster and Edinburgh and over the UK.
We went to Samuel Smith Brewing Company.
Sam Smith.
And they were like, why are you here? The tour. We don't give tours. Go to the pub. So we went to the pub, had the beers.
That whole experience, we couldn't have just made anything that's part of it. That's a cornerstone of that experience. We needed the liquid, the people, the ambiance. And so I went to work on making that recipe, did it at home, starting in 13, 14 probably.
No, this is something that you brewed while you were at Fran's.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That goes back.
Wasn't this part of like a rental agreement that you had?
Yeah, so Fran Bagnall, his PhD advisor, who's like, what was she for the longest time, the head of the Outer Planets?
Yeah, she's on the advisory panel for NASA right now. So I think she's sort of just as important as ever, but without any of the responsibilities.
Good for her.
Yeah. No, for my rent was to make an English bitter, and that became MSB.
Okay, sorry.
But also the Tall Mast was part of that too.
Her husband really liked
Yeah,
he liked Tall Mast.
He liked Belgians too, but that's another conversation. Not people, beers, maybe the people. I don't know. So
Yeah, fuck the Belgians.
I was making that every week. I was making beer there.
Well, and so to the point of like why an English IPA?
Yeah.
So the rise of the West Coast IPA, 547 a double IPA, a little Tornado, our West Coast IPA. It's so hoppy. I don't like hops, and everyone is so. I know, Joel, you'll be fine.
Can we edit that out?
Stop it. Anyway, but it's not an American IPA. It's an English IPA. So it's got a strong malty backbone, but there are a significant amount of hops there. So it's a different kind of IPA.
Earthier.
It's
not as
earthier.
citrus. It's not
and
as
there's
fruity.
there's really not one in the market. There's a couple in the States, but there really wasn't one. And so it was a way to celebrate kind of both the English cask conditioned ales, but also have a good IPA.
And it should be done on cask. It's not a beer built for cold temperatures, high levels of carbonation.
Have you ever sold it carbonated?
Of course, and it does fine. But
I think we have our MSB on tap right now on CO2.
But that's just, for me, it doesn't marry with what I think of. This beer is, again,
There's a mouthfeel
there are
with
three
it
things,
that's
right?
so much
There's
better on
liquid,
tap.
people, ambiance. The people who serve it, the service, your peers, and then the overall ambiance, and then the liquid in the glass. And for me, the pub experience is a different animal. I was listening to our podcast with John Keeling from Fuller's talking about it. I've heard Charlie Bamforth talk about it. And there's something about that I wanted to capture with Tall Mast. It needed to be interesting enough if you wanted to bore down, or it could be in the background enough that you could focus on your peer group.
So we, for the longest time, called you Ahab. Could you tell us why?
Because I wouldn't stop fucking with it. I wouldn't stop chasing it.
So
Tall
the
Mast,
perfect
yeah.
Tall Mast in Bobby's mind, we called it Moby Dick because he kept every time. This is back when Shane was brewing with us, who helped us start the company. And Shane was very happy with it. And yet you'd come in and be like, I'm going to change this grain. I'm going to change this up. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that. And he did. Was he the one that threatened you?
No, that was one of our customers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he also threatened you, I'm sure, once or twice.
Well, yeah, it was contentious because I was always messing with this beer. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's like, I think a musician, right? I go back to these analogies, and there's a song and it's not yet down. It's not recorded. And I was never happy with it.
Although I think was it about a year ago you came to me and you said, I'm ready to laminate?
It was because of the threat from
Okay. But you call it
So
laminate?
you
the
Daisy.
recipe?
did it under duress.
Daisy. Yes.
Oh,
No.
it's a Daisy.
but the truth of the matter is that it now has won 3 out of the last 4 years at the U.S. Open
Those
against.
3 different recipes?
The last 2 have been the same. I've been
There you go.
good. So that's against the best commercial brewers and the best
Home brewers, yeah.
in the United States.
U.S. Open's hard.
Why the name Tall Mast? It evokes ships.
So okay, let's back up a little bit. IPAs. Why? Sometimes I hear people.
Actually, it's a Joel question. Joel, what's the origin of the IPA?
Before you go into that, though, I just wanted to say that people they'll come to the front bar, they'll try a Tall Mast, and they'll say, "That's a really interesting direction to take an IPA," and I can't get my head around
You
that.
have it backwards?
They got their history completely backwards. But Joel, you want to tell about IPAs?
Right. Yeah. During the height of the British Empire, when they controlled 25% of the globe, they controlled India. And the British troops stationed in India did not take to some of the local fare and wanted English beer. So they had to come up with a way, because at this time we're absent refrigeration and so on and so forth. So brewing in, subtropical and equatorial India is not going to be possible. So the beer had to be brewed in India, in Britain, sent to India on ships with a tall mast. And then those ships had to be able to withstand, because this is pre-Suez Canal, had to be able to withstand a 14,000-mile journey. And in that journey, the beer is being jostled. It is experiencing dramatic temperature changes. So they added additional hops to the grain bill with the intention of using those hops as a preservative. And ultimately, it created kind of a new genre of beer that people like myself really identify with, because you get all that piney, and in the case of the types that I like, you get all those floral notes. But in the case of using English hops, you're getting a lot of those herbal, earthy notes to it.
And the water is just as much a story of IPA as hops are. This isn't really talked about a lot, but the water in Burton on Trent in the UK is incredibly heavy in sulfate. So that was used to make these beers. All these IPA breweries are from Burton region, and they were making them and finding inadvertently that they married well with these hops, and it became this beer that survived. Now I'm saying it out loud in real time, understanding that the sulfate made something on it made the palate a certain way, it made the beer taste a certain way, but it might have had a preservative effect on its own.
Oh, that's true.
So I didn't think about
sulfates,
that.
yeah.
But Mitch Steele was on here.
That was a great episode.
He wrote literally the book on that. And what I
Yeah.
know about IPAs and English IPAs, a lot of it comes from Mitch Steele.
So let's go back then to why we call it Tall Mast. So obviously we want to pay homage to the history of the IPA, but we also, it's expensive to start a brewery.
It is? Have we done an episode?
Oh my God. And our family, so it's called McFleshman. So the Fleshman family, Bobby's parents, contributed a substantial amount, as did my parents, the McCoy side. And so my father died in 2012 from lung cancer. And so part of the inheritance, I guess, my mother invested that into the brewery. And so when he was in college, the story goes, he was maybe flunking out of his second year of college, maybe his first year. He was studying to be an electrical engineer at Texas Tech University. This was back in the 70s. So he and his buddy somehow they get to California and they run out of money. And so he then becomes a deckhand on a tall ship. And for, I think, 6 months to a year, made enough money to make it back to college. And this was a story I learned much later in life. And he's telling me this, and I was like, who are you? And he was like, oh, yeah, I never told you that story. And I was like, you were like a deckhand on a tall ship boat?
Now you know how we feel talking to you.
Oh, my God.
Right. There's always a nugget that drops.
Well, anyway, but my dad had a huge passion for tall ships. And so anytime we were traveling and there was a tall ship, we'd always go and tour it and stuff. And so it's kind of like a nice homage, which is funny because his beer would have been Public House Pint. He would never have touched an IPA.
Right. It's the spirit of the
Yeah.
of it, though.
And so it's kind of an homage to him as well.
Also, I think that you inherited a boat.
Oh, I did.
Model
the billing.
ship.
Yeah. So
And if ever we finish that, it's going to hang over
oh my
the bar.
God. Yes, he had
Yeah.
a model boat ship. So on his deathbed, he was like, can you finish the boat for me? And I was like, it's basically this box with a bunch of little bitty wood strips in it. I'm like,
It's going to be quite the effort.
Bobby will help.
Yeah.
And if we could also, I'd like to mention your dad, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, if you're listening, how you doing? Bob makes the best cinnamon rolls in the United States. That's
This episode brought to you by Name Your Cinnamon Roll Component Company.
and Bob likes to make fun of me because he'll bring me my own pan.
Yeah.
And within 3 seconds, I've had 2 of them.
Are you giving the secret ingredient away?
Nope,
here?
I am not. I am
They're,
not.
I've had them and they're very good.
Do you disagree? Have you ever had a better cinnamon roll?
I haven't
have
had a
not.
lot of cinnamon rolls, but I'm surprised. I'm not a baker. I'm surprised that they didn't come from like a Cinnabon or something, or it's a very professional, high quality product.
Right. Well, and you know what's even more surprising? He brings them to the brewery for me, and then I do not have the obligation to share them with anyone. But I do
You should
because
just eat
I'm
those
a
the entire
kind,
shift. Just one after the
Right.
other.
I am a kind person. I mean, I would be hypoglycemic if I ate the entire tray of those,
Well,
which I could.
Jade would have as many as she wants, and you would have
That's fair.
anyway.
Anyway, so Tall Mast, back to that. IPA, yay, named for the history as well as and that's the fun thing. A lot of the beer names actually have like dual stories.
Yeah, like Ultima, which we learned the other night.
Yeah, Ultima Thule.
It'll get its show.
Hooray.
We'll go down that road. There's actually quite a bit to say there.
I want to go back to what you mentioned, Burton upon Trent.
Yeah.
Or Burton on Trent.
Yeah.
And the water.
Yeah.
Do you do anything special with the water?
Yeah.
For the creation of this beer?
100%. You cannot make an English IPA without adding gypsum, which is calcium sulfate. And you got to add a lot
So
of
you
it.
add drywall to your beer.
I guess this is true. Yeah, when you say that. We're taking sheets of drywall. No. But that's what we do. We add that in. And the calcium's awesome too, because the calcium gives you all kinds of benefits. So that it makes yeast.
Could you add magnesium sulfate?
Oh yeah, you could. But the problem with that, which is called Epsom salt,
Yeah.
Have anyone taken milk of magnesia for reasons that we do?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Good call, the magnesium. Oh,
Yep.
touche.
Magnesium has this dietary effect on people.
This is the nerd section of the show that
So anyway, calcium makes yeast
told you
happy.
salt's amazing.
Yeast, the enzymes that are involved in fermentation, and they require what are called cofactors. These what are they called? Like divalent magnesium cations, magnesium,
So calcium and magnesium are located in the second column of the periodic table, so they have an oxidation state of +2.
Let's just say that you don't make as good a beer without enough calcium. And so that's an added perk by adding calcium sulfate.
Just
this
out
way.
of curiosity, because you've talked about water, is there a book or a reference that has like the water conditions of all these places?
Oh, of all the places.
Like, how do you know?
yeah, how do you, like if you're trying to do Burton on Trent,
okay.
how do you get the
okay,
water numbers?
There's two ways. There's two answers to this. First of all, if you want to know about water as it pertains to brewing, there's a book called Water by John Palmer. Now it's written in the Brewing blah 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 series, so that's why they just call it Water. But it has everything you'll ever want to know about how to manipulate water chemistry, more than I will ever understand. But as to what did the respective regions' water profiles look like, I don't think it's as relevant as one would expect, because every brewery is doing something different with their water when it comes into their walls. So you have to be careful when you look at.
But in terms of the historical styles, though, and so they didn't know any of this back in the day when they were sending the guys down around Africa to go to India.
Nope.
And so they were like, "Oh, it just happens to be this is the
Worked
place that
really
works
well.
really well."
This is why we are doing this series, because I didn't know this.
Yeah,
and you would be surprised how often water comes up at the bar.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know, well, what's he doing back there with the water?
I'm glad they're saying that.
You know?
They're a savvy group if they're talking about water.
Well, this is only on Wednesday. Wednesday's when the savvy.
There's also, where is it? Is it down here? The big wooden pallet thing that we've got over there, Olympia Beer. It's in the water, or it's the water.
Water's 90% or beer is 95% water.
That's the slogan of that brewery.
And when I teach about beer, I talk about how the water led to the styles of the respective regions just by experimentation. No one thought, hey, I bet our water would taste good if we were making an Irish stout. That's not how that worked. But over time, people bought what they liked, and those
Wasn't there
water profiles
what's
married.
the brewery in Kansas that kept winning all of the
Oh,
Free State.
No.
No, I know you're thinking about LB,
Liquid Bread.
Yeah, Liquid Bread Brewing.
We were looking at it, and they kept winning every
All the stout
single
categories.
possible stout
Because
category.
they're high in carbonate. Their
Because-
water was so
Yep.
hard in calcium carbonate.
And all the runoff from Lord only knows how many cornfields or whatever they had.
but
Made it
whether you
perfect
draw it from the
for-
surface or ground, that's another question. It's not just regional; it is seasonal too. We see pH fluctuate through the year. We have to adjust for that.
That's true. Yeah, we
on and on.
the salt runoff from winter versus from the roads.
Wait a minute. So if you're brewing 547 in the wintertime, you adjust the water to account.
100%. Yeah,
Every brew. Yeah.
we're dealing.
For
we're
those
working,
who are not with us in this
I love how
prohibition room.
I love how Joel goes back to wait with 547, not with all the beers. Like let's just make sure we get 547.
Right, but Gary and I just immediately glanced at each other again. Here's
This
another
is why we
aha
keep
moment.
getting so mad at the vintners, because the winemakers will be like, "Well, this is the terroir of
But they do it once a
1975."
year. I mean, they're not doing
Yeah.
it all year.
And
That's-
so
that's why
every
they have the
time
same
that they
quote.
get a new these brew logs, it's not like there's one recipe of Tall Mast. It's okay with these ingredients and this water profile. This is how
Yeah.
this Tall Mast is going
I
to be
have-
to yield the exact same product.
So this is built in. So the equations behind how the salt additions affect the outcome are really complicated. They're really above my head. But I stole them in 100% blatantly from John Palmer, who wrote said book about water and brewing. It's water. Allison's a chemist, and she'll tell you water chemistry is
Hard.
it's
I don't
its
do that.
own
That's
thing.
not my kind of chemistry.
FYI for those listeners, it's not over their head. There's modesty being played.
It is and it isn't.
Well, no, I mean, the water chemistry is really hard, because as soon as you start shifting pHs, you've got acid action, you've got base action. Is like
I want to move on from water.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So we got our hops, we got our water.
but specifically the ingredients.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying hops.
Oh, you want to know what they
Yes.
are?
Oh, wow.
What
So-
are the hops? What are
Noble
the
hops.
grains that are
Yeah.
going into this? And what
So-
is the yeast that's going
Yeah, yeah. So
with a label too, by the way.
yeah, we should maybe. So they're Goldings hops. So the Golding variety is one that you'll see grown in East Kent. East Kent in England is one of the epicenters of hop growers in honestly the world. These days, of course, Germany grows a lot, and so does the Pacific Northwest, and now New Zealand. But if you want to replicate that earthiness that you expect in English beer of any kind, you have to grow your hops in a place that's cloudy 60% of the time and has those temperatures and humidity and water. So Golding hops. That's
So you're importing this from England?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
And you can grow Goldings elsewhere, but they're not going to express.
Is this
same.
the only hop that goes into it?
No, Fuggles are another.
Now, when you
Fuggles are
say
the second.
express the same, do you mean the alpha acid content is?
No, I
different?
mean that's one. So alpha is just the bitterness, and we adjust for that. That's pretty straightforward. It's the other 700,000 compounds that are hard to quantify and replicate elsewhere.
Bobby,
So-
for our listeners, could you list those?
Oh my
the
God.
7,000 ones.
700,000.
Well,
my
it's
God.
all these essential oils that we get into a little bit, citronol, linalool, and
terpenes.
and all these things. If anyone grows hops at home, especially in this latitude, you should be doing that. They look beautiful even if you don't brew with them. But go pull one.
Don't do it. They're like
They're
mint.
weeds. They won't go away, but they're beautiful.
So what was the other hop you mentioned?
Fuggles, Fuggles.
That is a children's band that plays on Saturday mornings.
That's awesome. Yes, it is.
That's true.
Yeah. So
Where does this come from?
also the UK. And there are others. Whitbread is there's a Golding. So Whitbread is a Golding. And then there's a Styrian Golding. You can grow Goldings hops elsewhere. They don't have to be East Kent only. But it's been a workhorse. It's kind of like up there with these noble hops you find in mainland Europe, which are these, what do you call it, landrace hops. They weren't bred. They've been selected, or they selected themselves evolutionarily. And alongside the brewers, you have like your Hallertau and your Herzbrucker and all these other different Saatz hops that are just classic.
How many hops are going into this? Different
This one
varieties?
has two.
Just two.
Well, once in a while I might throw what's called a magnum hop, which is for the bittering. But remember, when you're putting in your hops into a boil early on, you're going to get rid of all your aroma. So all you're getting from that, for the most part, is bitterness. So it really didn't matter to some
What's the
extent.
approximate ratio between the two?
If you're doing, you mean in terms of the amounts,
Yeah.
amounts of hops? Early you'll put about half, and then late you'll put it the other half. But there's another half, so that's 3/2. So another third that shows up in what we call dry hopping. So after the beer is completely done, we'll put that directly into the casks before they're conditioned and served through the beer engine. And those hops are not getting heated in any respect. And so all of those oils are getting in there, and all that you expect from your English beers are being expressed through that
Is that
process.
where the really earthy notes come from?
Yeah, and honestly, there is a little bit of citrus that pops through there too. It's not like, I don't want people to think they're just drinking dirt when they're drinking English IPAs, but we do when we compare them to American hops, which are just loaded with these oils and these fruity, tropical, citrus, all these other flavors. We have to say something like earthy to distinguish them.
So the right side of your menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got 2 hops, major hop varieties that you're importing from England. You're treating the water. What other grains are going into this?
Okay. So the grains, when you're talking about UK beers, English beers, grains are the most important, maybe, of any different region in the world. The English malting and mashing profiles really, really express bready notes, really awesome fruity notes. And they spearheaded the production of crystal malts. We talk about that with Brees malting on a previous episode. And through crystal malting, you're able to make sugar with the contents of these grains. And you can heat them to certain temperatures at certain moisture levels. You can create all these different crazy flavors that range from, I don't know, a little sweet and fruity all the way to like burnt leather. You can go, there's a full gamut there. So we'll work with a couple of different ones. I don't want to go one dimensional. So we work with what's called a 45 lava bond, which lava bond's a color. It's a way to indicate how much it's baked or how much it's cooked to. And then we'll do a 65 lava bond. And our workhorse around here, by and large, is Thomas Fawcett for our specialty malts. Thomas Fawcett is a maltster in England that it's become our signature in some
So you're
ways.
importing that malt.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, this is an English beer through
So-
and through. Yeah.
Per our previous episode,
Yeah.
the cost of production in this of this beer at this time
This
is challenging.
And it's, and when people don't realize, I've had people say this both about our English and our German beers. They would say, I'd rather have a German beer. Like, okay, then you're getting the same thing, but it's now aged 6 weeks over the ocean. So I don't know what you mean by German or English.
Yeah.
Because we're making German and English beers right here.
Yeah, the original slogan that we had, which is weird because I say it now, is we specialize in German lagers and British ales. But I don't think that resonates as well because one might say we're not as good at marketing.
Well, our brewing
like,
system is.
Right. Like
Our open fermenter is.
is English and our
Everything's
brewing system
is.
is German.
Yeah.
But it's the ingredients too. But we've had to expand, into the hazies and the American IPAs and the American styles and the sours. But it really is like, no, we're really doing that here, so you don't have to go.
But to Gary's point, we don't have fancy gilded labels. We don't have 500 years of since 1516.
But we do
history
have
to say.
patrons who are not from the United States and who are from Britain and are from Germany. They say it tastes like home. Mm-hmm. And to me, that
It was just last week, actually. Not to hijack an English episode, but some Germans were here and they were drinking our fest beer and blown away. A whole group of professors and students touring the Midwest for class reasons, and they stuck around all day. And I think they came back the next day. That was what they said. So there you have it.
Andreas Kark, Christoph's brother, came from Bielefeld and spent multiple days here because of fest beer.
Yeah.
And said it was better than the beer in Germany.
And it happens with our English
that
beers
makes me
too.
happy. Yeah.
And I think that's a commitment that shows that it reflects our commitment.
All right, so I'm not done with the ingredients.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeast.
Okay.
Yes.
Make sure I got through all the. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not going to give the whole recipe, not because
No, you don't need to.
It's not because I don't want to. It's because it's boring. But if anyone ever wants that,
Nobody cares.
No, but there may be
This is for the
homebrewers
book.
that
Oh, that's
listen to this, and if any homebrewer wants it, Bobby at McFleshman's, I give it away. I'll give you the actual brew sheet. There's no secret to this. This is, you do it on your system, it will come out differently.
Everything you've just described, it doesn't matter because nobody can replicate it.
That's fair.
Right. That's the thing about cooking. It's there's all the stuff I didn't put between the lines, not because it's intentionally left out. It's just because you don't think to write it down. But you asked about yeast. Okay. So our trip to Tadcaster led us to Sam Smith Brewing Company. And we wanted, as I said, to replicate that experience. And you start from the absolute ground up. You have to have the water. We covered that, and the hops and the malt. If you don't have the yeast, you can't tie that together. So we use Sam Smith yeast. Actually, we use Timothy Taylor yeast, which is a sibling to it. They're all very, very, very much related. Green King uses the same. So if anyone's listening to this, they know Green King. If they know UK beers, they know Green King, and they know Timothy Taylor.
And I didn't know this. You didn't know this. Someone orders a Tall Mast. They are getting a product where you are replicating English water using English hops with English yeast, English malts, whole ball of wax.
Open top fermentation, which we didn't even touch on.
In a Yorkshire round that's
Yeah.
not square, but it's still called a Yorkshire.
And open top fermentation, just a quick aside, is because people say, why do you do that? Well, I always give my 3 reasons. We do it because it removes the oxygen by Henry's Law from solution, the CO2 from solution. It's toxic. They excrete it. Makes
They're
yeast
swimming in their
happier.
own poop, so we want
So
to get
that
rid
goes
of that.
away. We're able to crop that yeast off the top, which is the healthiest of them. Listen to John Keeling talk about this on the Fuller's episode. And then number 3, it looks cool as shit. So people
That's
like
true.
to stand in
Go
front of
down
that
the
room
hallway,
like,
look at
what
our
is
open
going
fermenter.
on in this room? We do that for 3 reasons. But yeah, to tie that bow on it, we do that. And then we put it into cask. And everything we do in a cask or with components bought from ukbrewing.com, shout out to those guys. And then it conditions, and then we dry hop it in that vessel. And when it's ready, we tap it. We serve it through beer engines
Beer
made in
engines.
London. There's only one company in the world that makes those beer engines, and we have 4 of those beer engines. And so it's not like some
not to
facade
mention,
here.
hang on, not to
Yeah.
mention the fact that the process of taking care of the casks to get it. So any bartender,
Oh my God,
will say, I know, right?
There's
you
a
know where
word,
I'm going.
publican. You're going to describe
The
the publican?
publican, yeah. So any bartender's like, oh, keg just kicked. I got to go flip the keg. They just go and they move the little nozzle thingy from one keg to the other. You can't do that with a cask. With a cask, you have to start 4 days ahead of time.
Yeah.
You have to spile it. You have to let it breathe with the breather
vent.
on, and then you got to vent it, and then you got to put the what's the thing's called? The
The
mallet
tap.
thing, the tap.
Yeah, tap it. There's a keystone, there's a shive, there's a
This
spile.
is why we are doing this.
yeah.
And
Because I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
keep talking.
you're what?
I'm going to keep talking. So, and then the
Go
place,
for it.
the beer engines are located immediately behind where the casks are in the cold storage area. And so, so when they're hand pumping, they've only got maybe 2 feet of line that they're going through, maybe 3.
They're not far.
So when you're seeing us pump from the hand pumps, the casks are immediately behind the back bar.
The story that needs to be told, hopefully it's being expressed on some level, is that these people are getting this English-made beer with these English ingredients from these English pumps, hand pumps, with beer that was made 15 feet away in an open-top fermenter from where they're standing, right in the middle of Wisconsin. It's like, if I had a brewery like that in my neighborhood, I never would have opened a brewery. You know what I mean? There's no point. This was why we did this, because it doesn't exist.
I think
Yeah.
your
Gary,
top
can I-
Tall Mast customers don't know any of this.
Right.
It's just
I
English
think there
IPA.
are some that do, but
Not to
yes.
this degree. Not to this degree.
Can
Gary,
we-
can I ask you 2 questions?
Sure.
Question 1, has chapter 1 of our book been written this evening?
I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Chapter 2, have you ever seen these 2 as joyful on
I
a
told you
podcast?
the
Oh, hang on.
organic
Wait.
to give
I
this.
should
Yeah.
also add that we have both enjoyed an entirely full Oktoberfest. And so that's
Yeah.
also.
Speaking of English
Here's to
IPA.
David for saying, we should record in the evening so y'all can have a couple so you actually loosen up a bit.
But seriously, the joy that you 2 have.
Can I share where the label came from?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Gary
So
and I are just here listening.
the label it's a copper etching, for lack of a better phrase, of a tall ship that I bought for $1 at a antique shop when we first moved to Wisconsin. and it was just in. I don't even remember which one it was, but I saw it hanging there, and it was already framed and everything. And I was like, "Holy shit, that is worth $1." And so we hung it in the brewery because
Anyone has seen Fight Club, it was worth every penny.
it was worth every penny. Anyway, but when we first opened the brewery, we wanted a whole bunch of crap on the walls. And if you
Mission
are
accomplished.
if you are a Patreon subscriber, you've gotten to see the behind the scenes tour, and you got at least a couple of stories on some of the crap that we have on the walls. But anyway, this is one of the things that I just bought to put on the walls. And then
Perfect.
when we moved towards labeling, we were like, well, we need a picture of a tall ship. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. What about that copper etching that we paid $1 for?
It's perfect.
And it fit perfectly.
It is my favorite beer that we make. I mean,
Oh, stop it.
give it,
I just had to clear my throat.
yeah, it's my favorite beer. People know that, and they know I've been chasing perfection with it.
but
But
you have laminated it now.
I've laminated it. I'm not.
But it's not fully laminated. It's like press on. So it still
And-
could be separated.
Well, I mean, and it has to daily because depending on the water, depending on like what
I
it
would
says,
say that almost
but-
every beer we have, though, that I'm emotionally attached to, it's because of some travels or some friends or some history. It's not because of just the liquid and this journey down these paths.
So I want one final question. Why have you kept screwing with the formula, and what are you changing?
Okay, well, make sure we understand for the record, I'm not doing that, Daisy, at the moment. So,
Daisy, he might actually be doing that. I think you need to pay him a visit.
basically, I'm going back to those caramel malts, the crystal malts. I was playing with a really highly kilned one, so that 45 and 65 number is attached to how much they've been kilned. And one of them was taking it to 180, so that use that scale as a reference. And I was doing that to get some more color and what I thought would make it a little more interesting, and it added some fruity notes and so on. And the more I messed with it, the more I realized that it was just hiding anything that was there. The hops were kind of getting steamrolled by it. And then I started working with, so we removed that. It impacted the color, but I think in a positive way. And then I was looking for some malts that would give it better foam. And we've talked a little bit about foam on this podcast, and that's for me a big deal on everything. Everything's got to have good foam. And
I do think it's your third best looking beer.
Public House is one, right?
No.
No?
Your best looking beer is the Ultima Rose.
What
in
about
a glass that is just flat out sexy.
it? Is what about Hildy though?
Hildy is in your top 5. I think the number 2 is Stepchild.
That's a good
When
one.
that is poured properly.
That is a good one, yeah. Because the hops
and then
hold
Tall
together.
Mast is 3. Tall
Yeah.
Mast is gorgeous in a glass.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Just as an aside, when you look at let's say a beer is an equation,
Yeah.
you got a lot of variables, and you really can only futz with one and have an idea of how it's like. The more variables you
Yeah, it's science. Yeah.
mess with, you don't know which one
Yeah,
that
but
you're really doing.
I think
So-
this is Daisy's point in why she pulled a knife on him ultimately.
The artist takes over the technician once in a while. Sometimes I'm a scientist, sometimes I'm an artist, and the artist is like, no, let's try 5 things. Let's just do it. Let's just do a whole bunch of shit. And then the scientist is, no, we're never gonna know what's causing what if we do that. And so I'm always internally conflicted by that that thought on one side of the brain or the other. So you're asking me menu wise which beer I fixate on, or element wise in Tall
no,
Mast
just
itself.
like if you mess with a formula, in this case, Tall Mast.
Yeah.
How do you know what to mess with?
Oh, I can tell
yeah,
you.
go for it.
Oh my God. So he'll come to, and this is like the 5 a.m. conversations where the alarm goes off and you're like, oh yeah, I'm finally getting
That's a
up.
joke because no one's up at 5 a.m.
Oh, stop it.
There's a 5 a.m. Someone once asked me.
Well, you're up at 4. Anyway, so I'm like, yay, me. I'm getting up to go do my workout. And I come downstairs and I got my workout gear on, and Bobby stops me and he's like, okay, I think that I need to really enhance the red hue of
I can totally see
whatever this is. And I'm like, I
Totally
want to
see.
just do yoga. I just go away. And but it's color. I think color
Yeah.
is what because he wants it to look like it tastes.
But the color is attached to flavor.
The color is attached to flavor, but I think he wants it to look like it tastes in his mind. And if the taste in the actuality doesn't mesh with what he wants, what he envisions, he's like, how do I tweak these things? Or likewise, if it doesn't smell the way he envisions it to taste, he'll also, like, those are the two entry points, I think.
And
So if you're doing yoga and you're doing like tree pose or something, is he like standing next to you with
Yes. He is standing
like,
next to me talking with a
a
graph.
spectrometer and a graph?
No, well, the spectrometer, those are heavy, and no, but no, he'll
Some sort of a
they're getting
device.
smaller.
he'll say, "Hey, did you see the graph? Did you see the text?" And I'm like, the graph, and he's like, "Yeah, did you look and did you see whatever numbers?" And I'll be in like down dog, and I was like, "Can I just have a minute?" That's
You should do yoga poses based on brewing. So you could have like the cask pull.
yeah, that's
I think there's a whole thing here.
See, another idea.
Oh, yeah.
yep.
Yoga at McFleshman.
That's not beer and yoga. It's beer yoga.
Yeah.
With
Joel,
Gary.
Anyways, that concludes this episode of Respecting the Beer. The producer of Respecting the Beer is David Kelso. Without David, I assure you that there would be no show. Please join the Facebook group to get updates and to support the show over on Patreon, where you can listen to the bits, and there are a lot of them that don't make it into the show. And you can get access to specially brewed beers available only to Patreon members. And there's a new video tour of the brewery where you can see the open fermenter. Links to both of these are in the show notes. And until next time, please remember to respect the beer.